Eala finally solves Magda Linette puzzle en route to ASB Classic semis. Sustaining a strong start to the year, Eala says she's happy seeing her level of competitiveness increase and improve after marching to the last four of the New Zealand tournament. Manila, Philippines. Magda Linette of Poland has not been a kind matchup for Eala, losing to her in their first two encounters. But on Friday, January 9th, in the ASB Classic quarterfinal, Eala shut the door on past heartbreak, finally taking down Linette to reach the semi-final of the tournament in Auckland, New Zealand. "It feels so good," Eala said after a 6-3, 6-2 win to score her first ever victory against the current world number 52 Linette. The 20-year-old Filipino lost to Linette when she was just 18 during the 2024 WTA 500 Abu Dhabi Open, 7-6-4, 6-1. They met again in the WTA 250 Lexus Nottingham Open last June 2025, where Linette reasserted her mastery once more on Eala, 6-4, 6-3. In Auckland, Eala flipped the script and made sure it was her turn to sweep. "Today is difficult. Obviously, Magda is such an experienced player, and I've had difficulties playing against her before," she said. "I'm happy seeing my level of competitiveness increase and improve. I do my best. I do what I can. And just if I see an opening, I think it's important that I go for it." Eala, now ranked 53rd in the world, just one spot behind Linette, won 3 straight games to take a 5-2 lead in the first set and never looked back, finishing off the Polish in the 9th game. Eala continued her dominance in the second set, winning the first 4 games before Linette attempted to close the gap at 4-2. The Filipino then kept her composure to ward off Linette's rally to take the win and punch her semifinal ticket in 1 hour and 37 minutes. Initially seen as merely a warm-up for the Australian Open, Eala now nears the tournament's title, as she will next face China's Xinyu Wang in the semifinal. Another victory would propel Eala to her second WTA 250 final and potentially give her a shot at a championship in just her first tournament in 2026. Rappler.com. There are matches that announce themselves with thunder, and there are matches that whisper their importance until, suddenly, you realize you're standing inside a turning point. Eala's passage past Magda Linette at the ASB Classic belonged to the second kind. It did not roar. It reasoned. It unfolded like a chess problem solved not by brilliance alone, but by patience, by the courage to stop trying to win the point outright and instead win the next decision. For Eala, Linette had long been a riddle written in firm lines and heavy punctuation. The Pole's game is not decorative, it is declarative. She takes time away, keeps the ball low and purposeful, and asks a simple, brutal question. "Can you play your best tennis when I refuse to let you play at all?" Many players answer too loudly. They swing harder. They make Linette's work easier. On a bright Auckland afternoon, Eala finally chose a different language. The opening games told a familiar story. Linette's returns landed deep and flat, skidding through the court like pebbles skipped across water. Eala's forehand, usually her canvas, arrived a half-beat late. The rallies felt slightly tilted, as if the court itself leaned toward the Polish veteran. When Linette stepped inside the baseline, she did so with the authority of someone who had been here before, late rounds, tight matches, the quiet confidence of survival. Eala, though, did not blink. If anything, she looked curious. Between points, she traced the baseline with her eyes, not at Linette, but at the geometry of the court itself. Where could space be made from a player who denies it? Where could time be found against someone who steals it? The answer, it turned out, was not in more power, but in more questions. Eala began to bend the rallies, not break them. She lifted her margin over the net, adding a hint more height, a whisper more spin. The ball landed a step deeper, then a step wider. Linette still struck cleanly, but the ball no longer arrived exactly where she wanted it. She had to adjust her feet. She had to hit one extra shot. Then another. It was subtle. It always is. The first real crack came not from a winner, but from a miss, Linette's backhand nudge just long after a rally that lasted 3 shots longer than usual. Eala didn't celebrate. She simply towed the line, bounced the ball, and served again as if to say, "Yes, this will take time. I have it." The crowd, initially polite, leaned forward. Auckland has always appreciated problem solvers. There is something about watching a young player think her way through trouble that draws people in, as if they, too, are being invited into the solution. Eala's movement sharpened. She stopped retreating under pressure and instead met the ball on the rise, not to rush Linette, but to rob her of the clean patterns she prefers. A short angle here. A body serve there. A backhand down the line not struck with fury, but with conviction. Linette adjusted, of course. Experience does not surrender quietly. She stepped in even more, flattening out returns, testing Eala's resolve. For a stretch, the match tightened like a held breath. Every game felt like a small referendum on nerve. It was here, between the noise of momentum swings, that Eala showed what separates promise from progress. She slowed herself down. Her rituals lengthened. The bounce of the ball became steadier, almost meditative. When she missed, she smiled once, quickly, as if acknowledging an old friend. There was no pleading with the sky, no argument with the racket. Just work. The pivotal game arrived not with drama, but with discipline. Eala served with variety, mixing pace and placement, refusing to give Linette a single rhythm to lock onto. On the longest rally of the match, she resisted the temptation to pull the trigger early. She absorbed, redirected, and waited. When the opening finally came, it was not a scream of a shot, but a firm, clean forehand into space that had been patiently created. Linette's shoulders dropped, just a fraction. At this level, that fraction matters. From there, the match tilted, not dramatically, but decisively. Eala's confidence grew legs. Her backhand, once targeted, became a wall. Her forehand found its voice again, not shouting, but speaking clearly. Linette continued to compete with pride, but the puzzle she had once posed now seemed to have fewer answers. As the final games ticked by, Eala played with the calm of someone who understood exactly why she was winning. Not because she was stronger. Not because she was luckier. But because she had chosen the right fight. When the last point ended and the handshake came, it was brief and respectful. Linette nodded, the way seasoned players do when they recognize a moment of passing knowledge. Eala turned to the crowd, her smile wide now, unguarded. The semi-final berth at the ASB Classic mattered, of course. Semi-finals always do. They come with ranking points, confidence, headlines. But this win carried something more valuable and harder to measure, proof. Proof that Eala can solve problems that once felt unsolvable. Proof that growth in tennis is not always visible on the scoreboard, but in the choices made under pressure. Proof that patience, when paired with belief, can be a weapon every bit as sharp as power.